Life is tough. It's not supposed to be easy. And often you'll find yourself standing alone. The most common excuse I hear is, I don't have enough time. But let's break it down. There are 168 hours in a week. If you sleep 8 hours a night, that's 56 hours gone. You're left with 112 hours. If you work 60 hours a week, you still have 52 hours remaining to pursue what truly matters to you. So the excuse of not having enough time doesn't hold up. It's time to be honest with ourselves. It's time to face the raw truth. Look in the mirror and realize that the current version of yourself won't carry you to where you want to go. If you don't change, if you don't take action, you'll find yourself stuck, unfulfilled, and possibly even bankrupt in terms of your potential. Success is built on what you do when no one is watching. Discipline is the cornerstone of achievement. Motivation can be fleeting. No one wakes up every day bursting with energy and drive. The real key to success is discipline, doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's not enough to be disciplined once a week or determined only on certain days. You need to make a commitment, a covenant with yourself to be the person you are meant to be. This means putting in the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears. It means sacrificing comfort, losing sleep, and sometimes going without to achieve your goals. Many give up too soon. If we could just persevere a little longer, work a bit harder, and take each day as it comes, our dreams would become reality. Too many people have doubted you, left you, and whispered that you'd be worse off without them. Prove them wrong. Show them that you have the resilience to rise above and succeed. Start your day by investing in yourself. This sets the tone for everything else. When you prioritize yourself, you affirm your worth and importance. This creates a ripple effect, giving you the energy and drive to uplift those around you. Remember, the physical part is easy. Just show up, be present, ask questions, and be willing to endure a bit of hardship. The real challenge lies in psychological preparation. The mind is the catalyst for change. The greatest athletes succeed or fail because of their mental strengths. Our minds and hearts have limited space, and we can't afford to let distractions and negativity take up valuable real estate. Focus on what truly matters. It's time to evaluate everything in your life and decide what's worth your time and attention. To achieve success, follow these 3 rules. 1, show up every day. 2, be fully present and all in. 3, stay curious and keep learning. Don't be afraid to admit you don't know everything. Embrace the journey of learning, and the world will open up to you. If you want to excel at something, you need to dedicate time consistently. Spend at least 130 quality hours honing your craft. That's an hour a day for 6 months. Look at the greats like LeBron James or Wayne Gretzky. They didn't become legends by chance. They practiced every single day. Consistency is the secret to success. We admire athletes, innovators, and celebrities celebrating their public achievements. But we often forget the struggles and sacrifices they made behind the scenes. The blood, sweat, tears, and sleepless nights that go unseen. Success is not about luck. It's about relentless hard work. Instead of criticizing, learn from their dedication and apply it to your own life. Focus your energy on creating something new, not on fighting the old. True change happens behind closed doors when no one is watching. Build in silence and let your success speak for itself. When life gets tough, what do? You stand up, you rise. The path you have chosen is challenging for a reason. Some seek the easy way, but the true reward lies in overcoming difficulty. We all face adversity. It's part of the journey. The key is to push through, to keep going, even when it seems impossible. Tough times create tough people. And tough people build strong characters. You must keep going. Be true to who you are. When it gets tough, dig deeper. Stand tall, even if you have to stand alone. Greatness requires hard work. It's not about giving up when things get hard. It's about pushing through and persevering. Success wasn't designed to be easy. It's about how hungry you are, how much you're willing to give of yourself. Time will pass whether you take action or not. Don't waste it lying around. Make a difference. Be a solution, not a problem. Be serious, dedicated, and willing to work hard. Taking a leap of faith isn't easy. It requires courage, hard work, and the willingness to sacrifice. Sometimes you'll want to give up, but you mustn't. Keep pushing, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged. Success doesn't wait for excuses. It demands relentless effort. Everyone feels fear. It's natural, but don't let it paralyze you. Turn that fear into fire. Let it drive you forward. Keep trusting, believing, and moving. Embrace the challenges and keep fighting. Failure is part of the process. It's okay to fail. It's okay to stumble. What matters is that you don't let failure define you. Don't doubt yourself. Don't be ashamed. Trust in who you are. Work hard, believe in yourself, and never quit. Passion is your guiding force. Listen to it. Let it drive you. You can't expect great results without putting in great effort. If you give nothing, you get nothing. Get up, do the work, and let your passion fuel you. Your mind and heart have limited space. Don't fill it with distractions and negativity. Focus on what matters. Evaluate everything and everyone in your life. If they're not adding value, it's time to let them go. Greatness requires a covenant with yourself. Commit to being the best version of yourself. Show up every day, be present, and stay curious. Invest in yourself. Value your time and cut out distractions. Build your dreams in the dark and reveal them when they're ready. This is your path. This is your time to shine. Embrace the challenges. Own your time. Show up every day. Be disciplined. Work hard. Persevere. Prove the doubters wrong. Invest in yourself. Cut out distractions. Build in the dark. Commit to greatness. You have the power to achieve greatness. You have the strength to overcome any obstacle. You have the determination to keep going no matter how tough it gets. Believe in yourself, invest in yourself, and commit to the journey. Your greatness is waiting for you. Let's dive deeper into the concept of discipline. It's often misunderstood. Many think of discipline as a strict and unpleasant taskmaster. But in reality, discipline is freedom. It's the foundation that allows you to build the life you desire. Think about it. Without discipline, your goals remain dreams. They stay out of reach, taunting you from a distance. But with discipline, you can break down your goals into manageable tasks and systematically achieve them. Imagine you have a dream to write a book. Without discipline, you'll wait for inspiration, and you'll find a million distractions to keep you from sitting down and writing. But if you commit to writing for just 1 hour every day, you'll find that the pages start to add up. Before you know it, you have a manuscript. That's the power of discipline. It's not about grand gestures or Herculean efforts. It's about small, consistent actions taken every day. Discipline also requires you to face your fears. Fear is a natural human emotion. It's a survival mechanism designed to keep us safe. But in the modern world, our fears often hold us back more than they protect us. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. These fears can paralyze us. But when you have discipline, you can confront these fears head on. You can acknowledge them, understand them, and then move forward despite them. That's courage, that's strength. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never feel fear. They're the ones who feel it and move forward anyway. They understand that fear is a part of the process, not a barrier to it. They use their discipline to push through, to keep going even when every fiber of their being wants to turn back. Another crucial aspect of discipline is the ability to delay gratification. In our instant gratification society, we're used to getting what we want when we want it, but real success doesn't work that way. It requires patience, perseverance, and the ability to see the bigger picture. When you have discipline, you can resist the lure of immediate rewards and stay focused on your long-term goals. You understand that the true reward lies at the end of the journey, not in the fleeting pleasures along the way. Discipline also means being honest with yourself. It's easy to make excuses, to blame external circumstances for our lack of progress. But true discipline requires you to take full responsibility for your actions. It requires you to look in the mirror and acknowledge where you're falling short. This honesty is not about self-criticism or self-punishment. It's about self-awareness and growth. It's about understanding where you need to improve and then taking the necessary steps to do so. One of the biggest challenges we face is staying disciplined when things get tough. It's easy to be disciplined when everything is going well, when you're motivated and everything is falling into place. But what happens when life throws you a curveball? What happens when you face setbacks, disappointments, and failures? This is where true discipline shines. It's in these moments that your commitment is tested. It's in these moments that you have to dig deep and find the strength to keep going. Remember, success is not a straight line. It's a journey filled with ups and downs, twists and turns. But if you stay disciplined, if you keep showing up every day, if you stay committed to your goals, you will eventually get there. It might take longer than you expected, and it might be harder than you anticipated, but you will get there. Lastly, let's talk about the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. The journey to success is not one you have to take alone. It's important to have a support system, a network of people who believe in you, who encourage you, and who hold you accountable. These people are your allies, your cheerleaders, and sometimes your tough love coaches. They help you stay disciplined. They remind you of your goals, and they push you to keep going when you want to give up. But be careful. Not everyone in your life will support your journey. Some people will doubt you, criticize you, and try to pull you down. These people are toxic to your growth. It's important to recognize who these people are and distance yourself from them. Surround yourself with positivity, with people who lift you up and help you become the best version of yourself. Your journey to success is unique. It's filled with challenges, but also with incredible opportunities. It's a journey that requires discipline, courage, and relentless effort. But it's also a journey that promises immense rewards. So take that first step. Show up every day. Be disciplined. Work hard. Persevere. Invest in yourself. Cut out distractions. Build in the dark. Commit to greatness. This is your time. This is your journey. Embrace it with all your heart. Believe in yourself, because you have the power to achieve greatness. You have the strength to overcome any obstacle. You have the determination to keep going no matter how tough it gets. So stand tall, keep pushing, and let your greatness shine. This is your path. This is your time to shine.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple question. How often do we find ourselves starting something only to stop when it gets tough? How many dreams have you abandoned? How many goals left unfulfilled because you couldn't stay consistent? I'm here to tell you today that the difference between success and failure isn't talent. It's not luck, it's consistency. The willingness to show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. We've all been there. You're excited in the beginning, fueled by motivation and enthusiasm, but then the grind begins. Life gets in the way, obstacles come up. And what do? We step back, we pause. We tell ourselves we'll get back to it when we have more energy or when things calm down. But let me tell you something, that day may never come if you keep waiting for the perfect moment. The secret is to force yourself to be consistent, even when it's uncomfortable. Consistency is more powerful than motivation, and that's a truth you need to embed deep into your core if you ever want to reach the pinnacle of your potential. Motivation is like a spark. It's bright, it's exciting, and it gets things moving. But just like any flame, it dies down, and what you're left with is either a pile of ash or a steady, smoldering fire that can keep burning even when the winds pick up. That steady fire, that's what consistency is. It's not flashy, but it's reliable, and in the end, it's what will carry you across the finish line when everyone else is burned out. You see, motivation is like a mood. It comes and goes. There will be days you wake up and feel unstoppable. You'll leap out of bed ready to tackle the day full of energy and drive. But let's be honest, that's not every day. Most days you wake up with a list of excuses as long as your arm. You'll be tired, you'll be sore. Maybe the weather's bad, maybe you had a rough night's sleep. Whatever it is, on those days, motivation is nowhere to be found. It abandons you right when you need it the most. That's why you can't rely on it. You can't wait for the stars to align and for everything to feel perfect because, let's face it, life doesn't work like that. Things will always get in the way, and if you let them, you'll be stuck in a cycle of waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, or the perfect spark to get moving. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't care if you're feeling tired or stressed or if the weather is bad. Consistency says, I don't care how you feel today, we're doing this anyway. And that's where the magic happens, because the moment you stop relying on motivation and start building consistency, you become unstoppable. It's like flipping a switch in your mind. You shift from waiting for things to feel right to making things right through sheer willpower and discipline. It's not about being in the mood to do the work, it's about making the work a non-negotiable part of your life. Think about it for a second. Look at anyone who has achieved greatness in their field. Athletes, artists, business leaders, what do they all have in common? It's not that they're always motivated. No, it's that they've mastered the art of showing up day in and day out, no matter what. They've made consistency their greatest ally, and that's why they're at the top. It's not that they don't face obstacles or challenges. They do, just like everyone else. The difference is they've trained themselves to push through those tough moments, to keep going when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when everyone else would rather quit. That's the power of consistency. It builds habits. And once you've developed those habits, the work becomes automatic. It's no longer about how you feel in the moment. It's about staying true to the commitment you made to yourself. When you've been consistent for long enough, skipping a workout or taking a day off doesn't feel like a relief. It feels wrong. It feels like you're betraying yourself because this habit has become a part of who you are. That's what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. The ones who succeed have woven consistency into the fabric of their lives. They've made it a part of their identity. But make no mistake, building that level of consistency takes time. It takes effort. It takes discipline. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not exciting. No one's going to applaud you for getting up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym or for staying late at the office to finish a project. But that's okay, because discipline isn't about recognition. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether anyone's watching or not. Discipline is the muscle that powers consistency, and like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. The more you show up, the easier it becomes to keep showing up. And let's talk about that for a moment. Showing up, that's half the battle. Most people quit before they even begin. They talk themselves out of it before they've had a chance to make progress. They let their feelings dictate their actions. But you have to be different. You have to show up even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, because those are the moments that matter the most. Those are the moments that separate the average from the exceptional. It's easy to show up when you're excited, when everything's going your way, when the motivation is high. But can you show up when things aren't going your way? Can you show up when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when you're tired and frustrated? That's the true test. And when you pass that test, when you show up consistently day after day, you start to build something incredible. You start to build momentum. Each small action builds on the last, and before you know it, you've created a wave of progress that carries you forward. And that momentum, that's powerful. It pushes you through the tough days. It makes it easier to keep going because you've already invested so much time and effort that stopping now feels like a betrayal of everything you've worked for. But here's the thing about consistency. It's not just about putting in the time. It's about putting in the right kind of time. It's about being intentional with your actions. Just going through the motions isn't enough. You have to bring focus and energy to what you're doing, even on the days when it feels like a grind. Consistency isn't about being robotic. It's about being relentless. It's about constantly striving to improve, to get a little better each day, even when it feels like you're not making progress. And that's another important point. Consistency doesn't always yield immediate results. In fact, most of the time, the results come much later. It's like planting seeds. You don't see the fruit right away, but if you keep tending to the soil, keep watering, keep nurturing, eventually you'll have a garden full of abundance. But that only happens if you're patient enough to wait for the harvest. Too many people give up right before they would have seen the results. They plant the seeds, but when they don't see growth right away, they walk away. Don't be that person. Understand that consistency is a long game. It's not about quick wins, it's about sustained effort over time. And that's why consistency is more powerful than motivation. Motivation might get you started, but it's consistency that keeps you going. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The people who achieve their goals aren't the ones who are always motivated. They're the ones who show up day after day, even when they don't want to. They're the ones who keep pushing, even when it's hard. They're the ones who've built consistency into their lives, and because of that, they've created habits that carry them through the toughest of times. So when the excitement fades, when the motivation dies down, and when you're tempted to quit, remember this, it's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about staying true to the commitment you made to yourself. It's about building the discipline to keep showing up even when you don't want to, because in the end, that's what will carry you to success. We often convince ourselves that in order to achieve greatness, we must perform grand, extraordinary acts. We trick ourselves into believing that monumental leaps are the only way to move forward, that if we don't make a huge splash, then what we're doing doesn't matter. But this mentality can be devastating. It's like standing at the base of a mountain, looking up at the peak and feeling paralyzed by the sheer size of it. The enormity of the task ahead makes it feel impossible to even start. So we hesitate, we wait, we make excuses, we allow fear and doubt to grip our hearts because in our minds we've already failed before we've even taken the first step out. But here's the truth, you need to grab hold of success is not found in those massive life-changing moments. No, it's built in the small daily actions that seem inconsequential in the moment. It's not about giant leaps, it's about those tiny incremental steps that seem too small to matter, but over time they add up to something remarkable. Too many people get caught up in waiting for that perfect moment, for that big break, for that stroke of luck to propel them forward. But if you spend your life waiting for those monumental moments, you'll be standing still forever. What you have to understand is that small steps, those little moves that seem like they aren't making a difference are what lead to big results. Imagine for a second that you are climbing that mountain not by running or leaping, but by placing one foot in front of the other. With every step, no matter how small, you get a little higher, a little closer to the summit. You can't always see how much progress you're making day by day. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck in the same place, but when you look back after months or years of consistent effort, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. The key is consistency. It's not about making one big effort and hoping it carries you through to the end. It's about showing up every single day, putting in the work, even when it feels like nothing's happening. It's like a seed planted in the ground. For days, weeks, maybe even months, you won't see anything sprouting. You'll water it, you'll nurture it, but it seems like nothing is growing. But below the surface, where you can't see, there's movement. Roots are stretching deep into the soil, getting ready to support the growth that's about to burst forth. That's what small steps are like. You don't always see the results immediately, but that doesn't mean progress isn't happening. Think about the stories of successful people you admire. They didn't wake up one day at the top of their game. They didn't suddenly become the best in their field overnight. They took small, deliberate steps every day, often for years, before they saw the big results that everyone else notices. And that's the thing, people only see the end result. They see the glory, the accolades, the fame, the fortune. What they don't see are the countless hours of hard work, the sacrifices, the setbacks, the failures that paved the way for that success. Those small steps may not be glamorous. In fact, they often feel tedious. It's not always fun to wake up early, to stay late, to do the same thing day in and day out. But that's where the magic happens. It's in the repetition, in the grind that you build momentum. One step leads to another, and before you know it, you've created a habit, a rhythm. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but as it keeps moving, it gathers more and more snow until it's massive and unstoppable. That's what happens when you commit to taking small steps. Too many people give up because they don't see immediate results. They want the shortcut. They want the quick fix. But the truth is, anything worth having takes time. Real, lasting success isn't built on a foundation of shortcuts. It's built on persistence, on resilience, on the willingness to keep going when it feels like you're not making any progress. Because here's the thing, small steps lead to big results, but only if you keep taking them. The minute you stop, you lose that momentum and you're back at square one. It's easy to get discouraged when you're not seeing immediate returns on your effort. It's tempting to think, what's the point? But that's the moment when you need to dig deep. That's the moment when you need to remind yourself why you started in the first place. You didn't begin this journey because it was easy. You started because you had a goal, a vision of where you wanted to be. And that vision doesn't come to life by sitting back and waiting for something to happen. It comes to life through action, small, consistent action. You have to embrace the process. You have to fall in love with the journey, not just the destination, because the journey is where you grow. The journey is where you're tested, where you learn what you're truly capable of. Each small step is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you can do this, that you have what it takes. And when the big results finally come, and you'll look back and realize that it wasn't one giant leap that got you there. It was the accumulation of all those small steps, each one building on the last, creating a path that led you to your goal. And let me tell you something else, those small steps, they build character, they teach you discipline, they teach you patience, they force you to develop a work ethic that will serve you for the rest of your life. Because if you can commit to the small steps, if you can show up every day and put in the effort, no matter how small, then there is nothing you can't achieve. Success isn't about luck, it's about preparation meeting opportunity. And preparation happens in the small moments, in the daily grind, in the tiny, seemingly insignificant steps you take when no one is watching. So don't underestimate the power of those small steps. Don't get discouraged when progress feels slow, because every step you take is moving you closer to your goal. Every step is building momentum. Every step is laying the foundation for the big results that are coming your way. You might not be able to see the finish line yet, but trust that it's there. And the only way you're going to reach it is by taking one step at a time. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for the stars to align or for someone to give you permission to start. Take that first step today, no matter how small it may seem. And then take another one tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. Keep moving forward, keep building, keep striving. Because when you do, you'll look back one day and realize that those small steps have led to something far greater than you ever imagined. Big results don't come from big leaps, they come from small, steady, consistent effort. And if you commit to that, if you commit to taking those small steps every day, then success isn't just possible, it's inevitable. When you hit that wall, the one where your body aches, your mind is exhausted, and every fiber of your being is telling you to quit, what do? That wall isn't just physical exhaustion or mental fatigue, it's something much deeper. It's the embodiment of every doubt, every fear, and every excuse that's ever held you back. It whispers in your ear, you can't do this, you're not strong enough, it's too hard. That's the voice of resistance. And that resistance, it's a universal force. Every person who has ever tried to achieve greatness has faced it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, not luck, but the ability to break through that wall when it stands tall in front of you. There's no avoiding it. The wall will come. It might be when you're chasing a dream that feels too big, when you're working on a project that's overwhelming, or when life just seems to throw more at you than you can handle. But if you want something bad enough, you've got to dig deep and confront that wall head on. And let me tell you, breaking through is not about brute strength, it's about resilience, grit, and the willingness to keep going even when everything inside you is screaming to stop. That wall is made of doubts. Every what if that has ever crossed your mind stacks up like bricks in front of you. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if they're right and I don't have what it takes? Doubts can paralyze you, can make you turn around and walk away before you've even tried. But here's the thing, those doubts are not real. They are illusions, shadows of your insecurities, reflections of your fear. And fear is temporary. The pain of failing might sting, but it fades. The regret of never trying, that lingers. And let's talk about fear for a moment. Fear is the most insidious part of that wall. It will masquerade as caution, as common sense, as logic. It will tell you that you shouldn't take that risk, that you're not ready, that there's too much to lose. But fear has one job, to keep you in your comfort zone. And your comfort zone, that's the very thing holding you back. Growth, progress, and success, none of these things happen in comfort. They happen when you step outside of it, when you face that fear head on and say, not today. And then there are the excuses. Oh, the excuses, I'm too tired, I don't have time, I'll do it tomorrow. We're all guilty of making them. Excuses are easy, convenient, and comfortable. They let you off the hook, make it okay to stop, to take it easy. But excuses are just lies we tell ourselves to justify not doing the hard work. And when you allow excuses to build up, they become part of that wall, making it taller, thicker, harder to break through. Now you might be thinking, okay, I get it, the wall is there, but how do I break through? The answer is simple but not easy: consistency. Consistency is the hammer that breaks down that wall. Not one swing, not two, but day after day, hit after day, hit after hit. Showing up even when you don't want to. Showing up when it's hard, when it's painful, when you're tired, when you'd rather do anything else. That's how you break through. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not the highlight reel that people see. It's not the big moments of victory. It's the grind, the sweat, the perseverance when no one is watching. It's the alarm going off at 5 a.m. and you dragging yourself out of bed when all you want to do is hit snooze. It's staying late, putting in the extra hours when you'd rather be relaxing. It's making the choice day after day to push a little harder, to go a little further, to keep going even when there's no immediate reward in sight. And let me tell you something else. Consistency is not just about effort, it's about belief. You have to believe that the wall can be broken, because if you don't, you've already lost. If you approach that wall thinking it's too high, too strong, too tough to break through, then it will be. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have, and what you believe will shape your reality. If you believe you can break through, you will. If you don't, you'll turn around at the first sign of resistance. When that voice in your head gets loud, and you have to make a choice. Are you going to listen to it, or are you going to fight back? Because that voice is just another part of the wall. It's your insecurities, your fears, your excuses trying to convince you that it's okay to stop. But your commitment, your desire, your hunger for more, those have to be louder. You have to drown out that voice with the sound of your own determination. Every time you push through the pain, every time you go beyond what you thought you were capable of, you chip away at that wall. And every time you do, you come out stronger on the other side. You start to realize that the wall isn't as solid as it seemed. It's not as impenetrable as you thought. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome makes that wall weaker, makes you stronger. And one day you'll look back and realize that the wall wasn't really there at all. It was just an illusion, a barrier you put up in your own mind that you see. The wall is a test. It's there to see how bad you really want it. To see if you're willing to go the distance, to endure the struggle, to keep moving forward when everything in you wants to quit. Most people will stop at the wall. They'll make their excuses, let their fears take over and walk away. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be standing in front of that wall contemplating how to break through it. You'd already have turned around, but you haven't. And that's the first step. So when you hit that wall, and you will remember this, it's not there to stop you. It's there to challenge you. It's there to see how much you're willing to fight for your dreams, for your goals, for your future. And if you want it bad enough, if you're willing to be consistent, to push past the pain, to fight through the fear, then that wall will crumble. It has no choice but to fall when faced with unwavering commitment. The pain you feel, the struggle you endure, it's temporary. It's the price of progress, the cost of greatness. But the pride, the satisfaction, the fulfillment you'll feel when you break through that wall, made that last. That's what makes it all worth it. So don't stop. Don't turn around. Don't let that wall be the end of your journey. Break through it. Show the world, and more importantly, show yourself that you have what it takes to go the distance. Because on the other side of that wall is everything you've ever wanted. When we think about success, it's easy to get caught up in the final image, the big goal, the reward at the end. We dream about what it feels like to finally reach the pinnacle, to stand at the top and look down at all the hard work behind us. It's natural to want to envision that success, the promotion, the recognition, the financial security, the sense of accomplishment. That outcome is what drives so many of us to wake up each morning and put in the effort. It's the light at the end of the tunnel that keeps us going. But there's a fundamental truth that too many of us forget: the outcome isn't everything. In fact, it's just a small part of the story. What truly matters, what shapes you, what prepares you for the outcome is the process. You see, we are trained to chase outcomes. From a young age, we're taught to think about the reward, getting the A on a test, winning a trophy, landing a good job, or reaching a particular milestone in life. But here's the thing: if you're only focused on the result, you're missing the point. You're ignoring the most crucial part of success, the journey that gets you there. The journey is where the growth happens. It's where the lessons are learned, the character is built, and the real work takes place. It's easy to get impatient. We live in a world where everything is about instant gratification. We want things now. We want the shortcuts, the hacks, the quick solutions to our problems. But the truth is, there are no shortcuts to real success. There is no fast track to greatness. The process cannot be bypassed. It's the grind, the day-to-day effort, the consistency that builds the foundation for success. The outcome may seem glamorous, but it is the process that truly transforms you. Think about it this way: the outcome is a moment, a brief snapshot in time. It's the moment when you achieve what you set out to do. But that moment is fleeting. It passes quickly, and once it's gone, you're left with something far more lasting: the process. The process is the long stretch, the journey filled with ups and downs, failures and breakthroughs. It's the sweat, the struggle, the late nights and the early mornings. It's the sacrifices you make, the hard decisions, and the challenges you overcome. And that process is where you find your true strength. That's where you develop the skills, the mindset, and the resilience to not only achieve success, but to sustain it. Success doesn't just come to those who want it. It comes to those who are willing to put in the work day in and day out, even when the result seems far off, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. It's easy to stay motivated when the goal is within reach. But what about when the goal feels miles away? What about when you're not seeing the progress you expected? That's when the process becomes critical. That's when you have to dig deep and remind yourself that it's not just about the end result. It's about falling in love with the process, trusting that if you continue to show up, continue to put in the work, the outcome will eventually take care of itself. Too often people get discouraged because they're not seeing immediate results. They work hard for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but when the outcome doesn't appear right away, they give up. They think they failed because the result isn't there yet. But success doesn't work on a timeline that you can predict. It requires patience, it requires faith in the process, even when you can't see the finish line. And that's where consistency comes in. Consistency forces you to commit to the process, to show up every single day, regardless of whether or not the outcome is in sight. It's about putting one foot in front of the other, even when the road is long and the path is uncertain. It's about doing the right things over and over again, trusting that those small daily actions will eventually lead to the result you desire. Consistency isn't glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's the key to success. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. When you focus on the process, you allow yourself to grow in ways you never imagined. You become stronger, more disciplined, more resilient. You develop habits that will serve you for a lifetime. You learn to appreciate the small wins, the progress that comes from simply showing up and putting in the effort. You begin to understand that the outcome is just a byproduct of the process. It's the process that molds you, that shapes your character, that teaches you the lessons you need to succeed. The process is where the real work happens. It's where you discover what you're truly made of. It's where you find your grit, your determination, your drive. And when you commit to the process, you become unstoppable. Because once you've learned to love the journey, once you've embraced the daily grind, there's nothing that can stand in your way. The outcome is no longer your sole focus. It becomes secondary. What matters is that you're putting in the work, that you're staying consistent, that you're doing what needs to be done, regardless of whether or not anyone else sees it. And that's the beauty of the process. It's often invisible. People don't see the hours you put in behind the scenes. They don't see the sacrifices you make, the struggles you endure. They only see the outcome, the moment of success. But you know that it's the process that got you there. You know that without the countless hours of effort, without the setbacks and the failures, the outcome would never have been possible. And that knowledge gives you a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment that goes far beyond the result. So the next time you find yourself getting caught up in the outcome, take a step back. Remind yourself that the process is where the magic happens. The process is where you become the person capable of achieving that outcome. The process is what prepares you for success, what equips you with the tools you need to not only reach your goal, but to thrive once you've achieved it. You can't control every outcome. Life is unpredictable and sometimes things don't go the way we plan. But what you can control is your effort, your dedication, your consistency. You can control how you show up every day, how you approach the process. And when you focus on the process, when you fall in love with the journey, the results will come. They may not come when you expect them, and they may not look exactly how you envisioned, but they will come. And when they do, you'll be ready not just because you wanted the outcome, but because you embraced the process that got you there. So don't chase the result. Don't get so focused on the outcome that you lose sight of the journey. Chase the habit of being consistent. Chase the process, because it's the process that transforms you, that prepares you, that shapes you into the person you're meant to be. And when you fall in love with the process, when you commit to the journey, the outcome will take care of itself. Accountability is a word that cuts through the noise. It's not glamorous or exciting, but it's necessary. Without it, dreams remain just that, dreams. You see, we all have moments where we set lofty goals and feel inspired to change our lives. We write them down, map out the plan, and make promises to ourselves. But then life gets in the way. Distractions, laziness, excuses, they all creep in. Before we know it, those goals we were once so passionate about seem distant, buried under a pile of tomorrows that never came. And why? Because when no one is watching, it's easy to let things slide. It's easy to convince yourself that skipping a day, missing a step doesn't really matter. But here's the truth, it matters more than you can imagine. Each day, each moment is a building block. When you skip today, when you compromise just a little bit, it might feel like a minor misstep. But it's not. Today becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes the next day. Before long, you've lost the momentum, and what started as a small slip has turned into a full-blown retreat from your goals. You've lost ground, not because you couldn't achieve what you set out to do, but because you didn't hold yourself accountable. That's the weight of accountability. It's the invisible force that keeps you in line, that pushes you when no one else is around, and that ensures you're moving forward, even when it's hard. It's easy to say you'll stay committed, but it's accountability that determines whether you'll actually do it. We've all been there, faced with the choice to push ourselves or take the easy way out. Maybe it's waking up at 5 a.m. for a workout. Maybe it's working late to finish that project or studying when you'd rather relax. In those moments, no one else will know if you skip out, if you let it slide, but you will know. And that's where accountability has to come from you. You have to hold yourself to the standard you've set. You have to decide that your goals, your dreams are worth more than the temporary comfort of giving up or making excuses. There's a reason why holding yourself accountable is hard. It's because it forces you to confront the truth. It forces you to look in the mirror and face the person responsible for where you are, the person staring back at you. It's easier to blame circumstances, to point fingers at things outside of your control, but deep down you know that it's on you. You control your actions, your discipline, your effort, and when you fall short, when you skip the work, it's on you. That kind of honesty is tough, but it's necessary if you ever want to be consistent, if you ever want to break through and achieve the things you've set out to do. To hold yourself accountable, you must set standards that you refuse to compromise on. These standards aren't negotiable. They are the line you draw in the sand, the point you won't cross. Whether it's getting up at a certain time, completing a specific task each day, or hitting a target, you set the bar and you don't let yourself fall below it. No excuses, no justifications. It doesn't matter how tired you are, how busy the day was, or how difficult things got, your standards are your guide, and you stay true to them. Writing your goals down is one of the most powerful ways to hold yourself accountable. When you write something down, it becomes real. It's not just a thought floating around in your mind, it's a concrete commitment you've made to yourself. Write them down, make them visible, and look at them every single day. Put them somewhere you can't ignore, on your mirror, your desk, your phone background, whatever it takes to keep them in front of you. Remind yourself daily why you're doing what you're doing. Goals lose power when you forget about them. They become just another thing on a long list of things you'll get to eventually. But when you see them every day, when you remind yourself of the reasons you started, those goals regain their urgency. They stop being something you'll get to later and become something you're working on now in the present. But accountability isn't just about writing things down, it's about action. It's about surrounding yourself with people who will push you to stay on track, people who won't let you off the hook when you fall short. These are the people who care enough about you and your success to call you out when you're slipping. They are the ones who remind you of the standard you've set for yourself and push you to rise to it, even when you don't feel like it. We all need people like that in our lives because, let's face it, we're not always going to feel motivated. There will be days when you don't want to show up, when you're tempted to slack off. But having people in your corner who won't accept your excuses can make all the difference. The people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your level of accountability. If you're around people who make excuses, who justify mediocrity, it becomes easier to do the same. But if you're around people who push themselves, who set high standards and stick to them, it raises your game. You want to be around those who inspire you to stay disciplined, who remind you of your potential, and who won't let you settle for less than you're capable of. And here's the thing, it's not just about them holding you accountable, it's about you being accountable to them as well. It's about mutual respect and shared commitment. When you know others are counting on you to show up, it adds another layer of responsibility, and that's a powerful motivator. But the most important part of accountability is being honest with yourself. This is where it gets real. You have to look yourself in the mirror every single day and ask the tough question, did I do everything I could today to stay consistent? Did I honor the commitments I made to myself? And you have to answer honestly. If the answer is yes, great, keep going. But if the answer is no, don't make excuses. Don't rationalize or justify why you didn't. Own it. Take responsibility for the fact that you fell short, and then make a plan to do better tomorrow. This level of honesty is rare, but it's what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. You can't lie to yourself and expect to succeed. You can't brush off your failures and expect to grow. When you hold yourself accountable, something powerful happens. You start to trust yourself more. You start to believe in your ability to follow through, to stick to your word. And that belief is crucial. It's what gives you the confidence to take on bigger challenges, to set even higher goals, because you know you have the discipline to see them through. Accountability builds self-respect. It's a declaration that you value your word, that when you say you're going to do something, you mean it. That kind of integrity, that commitment to yourself, is what separates those who talk about their dreams from those who actually live them. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Accountability isn't about being perfect It's about showing up day after day and doing the work even when it's hard. It's about holding yourself to the standard you set, refusing to let yourself off the hook, and pushing through when no one else is watching. Because at the end of the day, the only person who can make your dreams a reality is you. And that starts with holding yourself accountable every single day. Failure is not the enemy. It's not some insurmountable obstacle placed in your path to stop you from achieving your dreams. No, failure is a part of the journey, an integral piece of the puzzle that leads you to where you want to be. But here's the thing, most of us are terrified of it. We fear failure because we've been taught to avoid it, to see it as a reflection of our shortcomings, and that's where so many go wrong. The truth is, failure is one of your greatest teachers. But it only works its magic if you have the courage, the resilience, and the consistency to keep going in spite of it. Think about that for a moment. If you quit when things get tough, if you let every setback convince you that you're not good enough, how will you ever move forward? How will you ever learn? Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the same process. Every successful person, every person who stands at the pinnacle of their craft has faced failure. They've stumbled, fallen, and questioned themselves. The difference, they didn't stay down. They didn't let failure define who they were or what they were capable of. They embraced it, learned from it, and kept moving forward. Now, I know what you're thinking, easier said than done. Failure hurts, it stings, it can shake you to your core, make you question everything, and that's real. That pain, that frustration, that doubt, it's all real. But so is your ability to push through it. So is your capacity to rise after you've fallen. What we often forget is that failure is not final unless we quit. It's just a lesson, a stepping stone on the path to success. You only fail permanently when you decide to stop trying. When you fail, and trust me, you have two choices. You can either let it consume you, let it convince you that you're not good enough, or you can use it. You can turn that failure into fuel, something that drives you to be better, stronger, more determined than ever. The question is not whether you will fail, but how you will respond when you do. Will you let failure stop you, or will you let it sharpen you? Will you allow it to push you to new heights? There's power in failure, but only if you can see it for what it is, a tool. Too often we get caught up in the fear of failure, in the anxiety of messing up, that we forget the opportunities that lie within those moments. Failure forces you to face your weaknesses. It shines a light on the areas where you need to grow. And if you can stand tall in the face of failure, if you can keep moving forward, even when things don't go as planned, you will emerge stronger. Consistency in the face of failure, that's the key. It's easy to stay motivated when things are going well, but what about when they aren't? What about when you've given your all and still come up short? Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when your consistency will be tested the most. But those are also the moments when you have the most to gain. If you can push through that, if you can stay committed, even when it feels like the world is against you, there is nothing you can't achieve. Failure is not a roadblock, it's a detour. And detours, while frustrating, often lead you to places you never imagined you'd go. Think about that. Think about the times in your life when something didn't work out the way you wanted it to, and now looking back, you realize it was a blessing in disguise. Failure is like that. It's only in the moment that it feels overwhelming, but with time, with perspective, you'll see that it was setting you up for something greater. The biggest mistake people make is letting failure define them. You are not your failures, you are not your mistakes, you are not the setbacks or the stumbles along the way. You are the person who gets back up, who keeps moving forward, who refuses to be defeated. That's who you are. And that's what success is about: persistence, resilience, consistency. Think about all the people you admire, the people who've accomplished incredible things. Do you think they got there without failing? Absolutely not. They failed over and over again. They faced rejection, disappointment, and doubt. But what they didn't do was quit. They didn't allow failure to become the narrative of their lives. They rewrote that narrative. Every time they fell, they got back up, dusted themselves off, and kept going. That's the difference. The people who make it in life, the people who achieve their dreams, are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail but refuse to stay down. They're the ones who take that failure, learn from it, and use it to come back stronger. Every failure is an opportunity to grow. It's a chance to learn something new, to adjust your approach, to become better than you were before. But you only get that opportunity if you stay in the game. If you give up at the first sign of trouble, you'll never know what you're capable of. Failure is only a temporary setback, not the end of the road. And if you can stay consistent, if you can keep pushing forward, you'll find that every setback is setting you up for a greater comeback. That's the power of failure. It doesn't have to be the end, unless you make it the end. You have the ability to turn every failure into a stepping stone, every setback into a setup for something bigger, something better. So the next time you face failure, don't run from it. Don't let it discourage you or make you question your worth. Instead, embrace it, use it, let it fuel you. Learn from it, adjust, and keep moving forward. Because failure, when you look at it the right way, is not the enemy. It's an ally. It's a part of the journey that leads you to success. Inconsistency in the face of failure is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's easy to keep going when everything is falling into place, but it takes real strength, real character to keep moving forward when things fall apart. That's where growth happens. That's where greatness is forged. And if you can stay the course, if you can be consistent, no matter how many times you fall, you'll look back one day and realize that failure wasn't something to be feared. It was something to be embraced. Because every failure brought you one step closer to where you were meant to be. Every failure was setting you up for something greater. Every failure was a part of your success story. Remember that the next time you stumble, don't let failure be the end of your story. Let it be the beginning of something extraordinary. Keep going, keep pushing, keep believing, and watch how failure turns into your greatest ally on the road to success. Consistency is the bridge between your dreams and reality. It's the key that unlocks the door to your potential, but it's not easy. It requires discipline, grit, and an unshakable belief that what you're working for is worth it. So from this day forward, make consistency your non-negotiable. Force yourself to show up. Force yourself to do the work, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. Because in the end, the people who succeed aren't the ones who had the easiest path. They're the ones who refuse to quit. Stay consistent. Stay committed. Your breakthrough is coming. Hey there, have you ever wondered why some people seem to command respect effortlessly while others struggle to gain the admiration and esteem of those around them? Well, today I'm here to shed light on 4 awful habits that might be sabotaging your efforts to earn the respect you deserve. These habits can sneakily creep into your life without you even realizing it, slowly eroding the foundation of respect that you've worked so hard to build. But don't worry, because by the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge and tools necessary to identify and eliminate these respect-killing habits from your life once and for all. Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritty details, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you felt disrespected or undervalued by others? Maybe it was at work, where your colleagues seemed to dismiss your ideas without giving them a fair chance. Or perhaps it was in your personal life, where your friends or family members consistently talked over you or ignored your opinions. If you've experienced these scenarios, you know firsthand how frustrating and demoralizing it can be to feel like you're not being given the respect you deserve. But here's the thing, respect isn't something that's handed out freely. It's earned through your actions, your words, and the way you carry yourself. And unfortunately, there are certain habits that can quickly derail your efforts to gain respect, no matter how hard you try. These habits are like silent assassins, slowly chipping away at your credibility and making it harder for others to see you as someone worthy of their admiration and esteem. So what are these 4 awful habits that make people disrespect you? Well, buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into each one of them. And trust me, by the time we're done, you'll have a newfound appreciation for the power of your own actions and the impact they can have on the way others perceive you. The first habit that can make people disrespect you is a lack of integrity. Integrity is the foundation upon which respect is built. It's the quality of being honest, trustworthy, and consistent in your actions and words. When you lack integrity, people start to question your motives and your reliability. They begin to wonder if they can trust you to follow through on your commitments, or if you'll say one thing and do another. Think about it this way: if you consistently make promises that you don't keep, or if you're caught in lies or half-truths, how can anyone trust you? How can they respect you when they don't know if they can believe a word that comes out of your mouth? Integrity is like the glue that holds your relationships together. Without it, everything falls apart. So, if you want to earn the respect of those around you, you need to make integrity a non-negotiable part of your character. You need to be honest even when it's difficult. You need to follow through on your commitments, even when it's inconvenient. And you need to be consistent in your actions, even when no one is watching. But here's the thing, integrity isn't something you can fake. It's not a mask you can put on when it's convenient and take off when it's not. It's a way of life, a commitment to being the best version of yourself, even when it's hard. And when you live with integrity, people notice they see you as someone they can trust, someone they can count on, and someone they can respect. The second habit that can make people disrespect you is a lack of self-respect. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait a minute, I thought this was about how to earn the respect of others, not about respecting myself. But here's the thing, the way you treat yourself is a reflection of how you expect others to treat you. Think about it this way. If you constantly put yourself down, if you engage in negative self-talk or allow others to walk all over you, what message are you sending to the world? You're telling people that you don't value yourself, that you don't believe you're worthy of respect. And if you don't respect yourself, how can you expect anyone else to respect you? Self-respect is about setting boundaries, standing up for yourself, and treating yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you would extend to a dear friend. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for anything less than you deserve. When you have self-respect, you carry yourself differently. You walk with your head held high, confident in who you are and what you bring to the table. You speak up when something doesn't feel right, and you're not afraid to say no when something doesn't align with your values or goals. And here's the beautiful thing: when you respect yourself, others can't help but respect you too. They see the way you treat yourself, and they instinctively know that you're not someone to be trifled with. They understand that you have standards and expectations for how you want to be treated, and they rise to meet those expectations. So if you want to earn the respect of others, start by respecting yourself. Treat yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and dignity that you would extend to someone you deeply admire. Set boundaries, stand up for yourself, and refuse to settle for anything less than you deserve. When you do, you'll find that respect becomes a natural byproduct of the way you live your life. The third habit that can make people disrespect you is a lack of empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to understand their perspective and feelings, even if they differ from your own. When you lack empathy, you come across as cold, disconnected, and uncaring. You give the impression that you're only interested in your own needs and desires, and that you don't care about the impact your actions have on others. Think about a time when you've interacted with someone who lacked empathy. Maybe it was a boss who consistently dismissed your concerns, or a friend who always managed to make the conversation about themselves. How did that make you feel? Chances are you felt unheard, unvalued, and disrespected. Now, imagine being on the other side of that interaction. Imagine being the person who lacks empathy, who consistently puts their own needs above others, who fails to consider how their words and actions might be impacting those around them. How do you think that comes across to others? Do you think it inspires respect and admiration, or does it breed resentment and disdain? Empathy is the key to building strong, respectful relationships. When you take the time to understand others, to listen to their perspectives and concerns, you show them that you value them as human beings. You demonstrate that you're not just interested in what they can do for you, but that you genuinely care about their well-being and happiness. And here's the thing: empathy isn't just about being nice or agreeable. It's about having the courage to have difficult conversations, to stand up for what's right, even when it's unpopular. It's about being willing to put yourself in someone else's shoes, even when their experiences and perspectives are vastly different from your own. When you cultivate empathy, you become a better leader, a better friend, and a better human being. You inspire others to be their best selves, and you create a culture of respect and understanding that permeates every aspect of your life. So, if you want to earn the respect of those around you, start by practicing empathy. Take the time to listen, to understand, and to consider the perspectives of others. Show them that you value them as human beings, and that you're willing to put in the work to build strong, respectful relationships. When you do, you'll find that respect becomes a natural byproduct of the way you interact with the world. The fourth and final habit that can make people disrespect you is a lack of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to understand your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and how they impact those around you. When you lack self-awareness, you're like a bull in a china shop, crashing through life without any regard for the damage you might be causing. Think about it this way: have you ever been in a meeting where someone consistently interrupted others or talked over them? Or have you ever had a friend who always managed to make everything about themselves, no matter what the conversation was about? Chances are those people lacked self-awareness. They were so caught up in their own thoughts and desires that they failed to consider how their actions were impacting those around them. Now, imagine being that person. Imagine going through life without any awareness of how your words and actions are being perceived by others. Imagine consistently offending or alienating people without even realizing it. How do you think that would impact your relationships and your ability to earn respect? Self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth and development. It's the key to understanding your own strengths and weaknesses, and to making the changes necessary to become the best version of yourself. When you're self-aware, you're able to see yourself objectively, to understand how your actions and behaviors are impacting those around you, and to make adjustments as needed. And here's the thing: self-awareness isn't something that comes naturally to most people. It's a skill that needs to be developed and cultivated over time. It requires a willingness to be honest with yourself, to seek out feedback from others, and to make changes when necessary. But when you do the work to become more self-aware, the payoff is immense. You become a better communicator, a better leader, and a better friend. You're able to build stronger, more respectful relationships and to create a life that aligns with your deepest values and goals. So, if you want to earn the respect of those around you, start by cultivating self-awareness. Take the time to understand your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and how they impact those around you. Seek out feedback from others and be willing to make changes when necessary. When you do, you'll find that respect becomes a natural byproduct of the way you show up in the world. Now, I know that cultivating these habits of integrity, self-respect, empathy, and self-awareness can be a daunting task. It requires a willingness to be vulnerable, to take an honest look at yourself, and to make changes when necessary. But here's the thing, the rewards are so worth it. When you live with integrity, when you respect yourself and others, when you cultivate empathy and self-awareness, you become a beacon of light in a world that can often feel dark and chaotic. You inspire others to be their best selves, and you create a ripple effect of positivity and respect that touches everyone around you. And here's the beautiful thing, respect isn't something that's finite or scarce. It's not something that you have to hoard or guard jealously. In fact, the more respect you give to others, the more respect you'll receive in return. It's a virtuous cycle that feeds on itself, creating a culture of kindness, compassion, and understanding. So my challenge to you today is just take a hard look at yourself and your habits. Ask yourself if you're living with integrity, if you're respecting yourself and others, if you're cultivating empathy and self-awareness. And if you find that you're falling short in any of these areas, don't beat yourself up. Remember, personal growth is a journey, not a destination. Instead, commit to making small changes every day. Start by being honest with yourself and others, even when it's hard. Practice treating yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you would extend to a dear friend. Take the time to listen to others to understand their perspectives and concerns. And seek out feedback from trusted friends and mentors so that you can continue to grow and develop as a person. When you do these things, when you make these habits a non-negotiable part of your life, you'll find that respect becomes a natural byproduct of the way you show up in the world. You'll inspire others to be their best selves, and you'll create a culture of kindness, compassion, and understanding that touches everyone around you. So my friends, let's make a commitment today to live with integrity, to respect ourselves and others, to cultivate empathy and self-awareness, and to create a world where respect is the norm, not the exception. Let's be the change we wish to see in the world, and let's do it together. Thank you for listening, and remember, the power to earn respect lies within you. Use it wisely and watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but wait, I've been trying to earn respect for years and it hasn't worked. What makes you so sure that these habits will make a difference? And to that, I say, fair point. Earning respect isn't always easy, and it's not something that happens overnight. But here's the thing, when you consistently practice these habits of integrity, self-respect, empathy, and self-awareness, you start to see a shift in the way people treat you. It might start small with a colleague who starts to listen more attentively when you speak, or a friend who goes out of their way to show you kindness and support. But over time, these small changes start to add up. You start to notice that people are more willing to collaborate with you, to seek out your opinions and insights, and to treat you with the respect and dignity that you deserve. And here's the really cool part: when you start to earn respect from others, it has a ripple effect on every aspect of your life. You start to feel more confident and self-assured, more willing to take risks and pursue your dreams. You start to attract people who share your values and your commitment to personal growth, and you start to build a community of like-minded individuals who support and encourage you every step of the way. But of course, earning respect isn't just about what you get from others. It's also about what you give to the world. When you live with integrity, when you treat yourself and others with respect, when you cultivate empathy and self-awareness, you become a force for good in the world. You start to make a positive impact on the lives of those around you, and you start to create a legacy that will endure long after you're gone. Think about some of the most respected people in history, people like Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, and Mother Teresa. These individuals weren't perfect, but they lived their lives with a deep commitment to integrity, compassion, and service to others. They inspired millions of people around the world to be their best selves, and they left a lasting impact on the world that continues to be felt to this day. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a world-renowned leader or a saint to earn respect. But I am saying that when you live your life with purpose and intention, when you make these habits of respect a non-negotiable part of who you are, you start to create a ripple effect that touches everyone around you. So how do you start to cultivate these habits in your own life? Well, the first step is to get clear on your values and your priorities. What's most important to you? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? Once you have a sense of your values and priorities, the next step is to start aligning your actions with them. This means being honest with yourself and others, even when it's uncomfortable. It means treating yourself with kindness and compassion, even when you're feeling down or discouraged. It means taking the time to listen to others to understand their perspectives and concerns, even when you disagree with them. And it means being willing to seek out feedback and make changes when necessary, even when it's hard. Of course, cultivating these habits of respect isn't always easy. There will be times when you fall short, when you make mistakes or let someone down. But the key is to remember that personal growth is a journey, not a destination. It's about progress, not perfection. So when you do stumble or fall short, don't beat yourself up. Instead, take a moment to reflect on what happened, to learn from your mistakes, and to recommit to your values and priorities. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are countless others out there who are working to cultivate these same habits of respect, who are striving to be their best selves and make a positive impact on the world. One of the best ways to stay motivated and accountable on this journey is to surround yourself with people who share your values and your commitment to personal growth. This might mean joining a community of like-minded individuals, whether it's a professional network, a volunteer organization, or a personal development group. It might mean seeking out mentors or coaches who can offer guidance and support along the way. Or it might simply mean being intentional about the people you spend your time with and choosing to surround yourself with those who lift you up and inspire you to be your best self. Another key to cultivating these habits of respect is to practice gratitude and appreciation. When you take the time to acknowledge and appreciate the good things in your life, whether it's a supportive friend, a meaningful career, or a beautiful sunset, you start to shift your focus away from what's lacking and towards what's abundant. You start to cultivate a sense of contentment and joy that radiates outward, touching everyone around you. And when you make gratitude and appreciation a regular practice, you start to notice a shift in the way you show up in the world. You become more patient, more compassionate, more willing to give others the benefit of the doubt. You start to see the best in people, even when they're struggling or making mistakes. And you start to create a culture of respect and appreciation that lifts everyone up. Of course, cultivating these habits of respect isn't just about what happens in your personal life. It's also about how you show up in your professional life, in your community, and in the world at large. It's about using your platform and your influence to create positive change, to advocate for justice and equality, and to be a voice for those who may not have one. This might mean speaking up when you see something that isn't right, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. It might mean using your skills and resources to make a difference in your community, whether it's volunteering at a local nonprofit or mentoring a young person who needs guidance and support. Or it might mean using your voice and your influence to advocate for causes that matter to you, whether it's environmental sustainability, social justice, or any other issue that you feel called to address. When you make these habits of respect a core part of who you are, when you use your platform and your influence to create positive change in the world, you start to create a legacy that will endure long after you're gone. You start to inspire others to be their best selves, to stand up for what's right, and to create a world that's more just, more compassionate, and more respectful for all. So my friends, let's make a commitment today to cultivate these habits of respect in our own lives and to use our influence and our platform to create positive change in the world. Let's be the leaders and the change makers that our world so desperately needs, and let's do it with integrity, compassion, and a deep respect for ourselves and others. And remember, this journey of personal growth and respect isn't always easy. There will be challenges and setbacks along the way. But when you stay committed to your values and your priorities, when you surround yourself with people who lift you up and inspire you to be your best self, and when you make gratitude and appreciation a regular practice, you start to create a life that's rich with meaning, purpose, and respect. So let's get out there and start living our lives with intention and purpose. Let's be the change we wish to see in the world, and let's do it together. Because when we all commit to cultivating these habits of respect, when we all use our influence and our platform to create positive change, there's no limit to what we can achieve. Thank you for listening, and remember, the power to earn respect and create a better world lies within each and every one of us. Let's use it wisely, and let's start today. You see, there's this temptation we all have to share every little detail of our lives. We live in a world today where people are constantly sharing on social media, in conversations, in passing moments. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to feel connected. And while that's human, there's a fine line between sharing and oversharing, and it's one that you've got to be careful about crossing. You don't owe the world your entire self. Not everything is meant for public consumption. Some things, some parts of you need to be protected, guarded, and cherished. So today I want to talk about 5 things you should never share with anyone. These aren't rules, but lessons learned from life experience, things that, when you hold them close, protect your peace, your progress, and your purpose. Number 1, your plans. Let me tell you something, one of the most common mistakes people make is getting ahead of themselves, talking about their plans too soon. It's easy to do. When you have a vision, when you're excited about something, you want to tell the world. You want to share that spark of hope you've got inside you. But here's the thing, that dream of yours, it's fragile. It's like a newborn baby, delicate and still growing. It needs protection. It needs nurturing. And if you expose it too soon, before it's had a chance to strengthen, it could get crushed. You see, a dream, a plan, an idea, it's all potential. And potential needs time. It needs space to develop, to grow roots before it can stand on its own. But when you start talking about it too early, you risk exposing it to things it's not ready for. Negativity, doubt, and even envy from others can be like poison to a fresh dream. You might think that by sharing your vision, you're just being open, that you're creating excitement, but not everyone you tell is going to have the same reaction. Not everyone is going to feel the way you do. Some people won't understand your vision at all. They'll look at your dream and won't be able to see what you see. They'll question you, tell you it's unrealistic, or say you're aiming too high. And you know what? Sometimes that's all it takes to shake your confidence, to make you second guess yourself. Suddenly that excitement it turns into doubt. You start thinking, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe this is too much. And in that moment, you've allowed someone else's doubt to cloud your judgment, to weaken your resolve. It's like planting a seed and then constantly digging it up to see if it's growing. You're disrupting the process. Then there's the envy. Not everyone around you is going to want to see you succeed. I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. There are people out there who are struggling with their own failures, their own insecurities, and when they see you working towards something, instead of being happy for you, they feel threatened. They might smile to your face, but deep down they don't want to see you win because it reminds them of where they're not. So they throw shade, subtly discourage you, or even sabotage you in ways you don't see coming. You think you're just sharing your excitement, but in reality you're giving them the keys to derail your plans before they've even taken off. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a time and place to share your plans. You're not meant to walk this path alone. There will come a point when you'll need support, advice, maybe even collaboration. But the mistake people make is thinking they need to share too soon. Until your dream is solid, until it's strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet, it's best to keep it to yourself. You need to build it up in private. You need to work on it quietly, without the weight of other people's opinions, without the pressure of proving something to anyone but yourself. Think of it like this: when an artist is working on a masterpiece, they don't invite everyone into the studio while they're still sketching. They don't need an audience when they're in the middle of their process. They wait until the piece is finished, until they're ready to unveil it to the world. And when they do, the world sees the final product, the polished, completed vision, not the rough drafts and unfinished strokes that came before it. That's what you need to do with your dreams. Work in the shadows and the quiet, where no one can interfere with your process. And then when you're ready, let your success speak for itself. There's power in silence. There's power in holding your cards close to your chest, in working diligently behind the scenes. Because here's the truth: when you're working in silence, you're working without distractions. You're focused. You're not performing for anyone. You're not worried about what anyone thinks or how they're going to react. You're simply building, creating, moving closer to your goal. And when you finally reveal what you've been working on, it's not a dream anymore, it's a reality. It's something that's ready to stand on its own without needing validation from anyone else. Success doesn't need an announcement. Success makes its own noise. The moment you achieve what you've been working toward, people will notice. They'll see the results. And the results will speak louder than any words ever could. But if you spend all your time talking about what you're going to do instead of actually doing it, you run the risk of being all talk and no action. You run the risk of letting your energy get wasted on impressing people with words instead of with results. It's like running a race. You don't start bragging at the starting line about how fast you're going to finish. You don't start celebrating before you've crossed the finish line. No. You keep your head down, you focus on the path ahead, and you run your race. You run with everything you've got. And when you cross that finish line, then you celebrate. Because you've earned it. You've completed the journey. But you don't get ahead of yourself. You don't let distractions pull you away from what matters, the work, the process, the grind. So keep your plans close. Share them with only those you trust completely. Those who genuinely want to see you succeed and will support you along the way. But even then, be cautious. Know that your dream is your responsibility, and it's up to you to protect it. Not everyone is going to see what you see, and that's okay. Not everyone needs to. Your dream is yours. It's your vision, your mission, and your life's work. Work in silence. Nurture your plans in private. Let them grow strong before you expose them to the world. Because when your dream is fully realized, when it's ready, it won't need an introduction. The world will see the results, and your actions will speak for themselves. So guard your plans. Protect them like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. 2, your personal struggles. Everybody's got struggles. Life is hard, and that's a truth we can't avoid. We all face moments when it feels like everything is coming down on us at once. The days when we can't seem to catch a break, when the pressure builds and weighs on our spirit, pushing us to the point where we feel like we can't keep going. It's a reality for every person walking this earth. But here's the thing, just because you're going through something doesn't mean you have to put it all on display for the world to see. There's a quiet strength in handling your struggles with privacy. Now, I'm not telling you to hold everything inside and try to be some kind of superhero. Everyone needs help, and we all need people who have our back when times get rough. But your personal struggles, the things that truly challenge you at your core, don't need to be public information. Not every battle you fight needs to be shared with everyone. You've got to learn to discern who deserves to know what's really going on with you. Because when you open up to the wrong people, you risk putting yourself in a vulnerable position, one where people might judge you, criticize you, or worse, use your weaknesses against you. You see, people love to talk. And when you share your struggles with someone who doesn't really understand you, or someone who doesn't genuinely care about your well-being, it opens the door for them to twist your story. They take bits and pieces of what you've shared and turn them into something that suits their own narrative. Before you know it, your personal battle becomes the latest topic of conversation for folks who don't have your best interests at heart. They'll speculate, they'll gossip, and they'll make assumptions about you that have nothing to do with who you really are or what you're truly going through. That's why privacy is key. Not everyone is qualified to give you the advice or support you need. Not everyone is even equipped to understand your journey. And when you share too much with the wrong people, their opinions start to shape how you see yourself. Their judgments can creep into your mind, making you doubt yourself even more than you already do. And in that space of doubt, you might start to believe the lies they've built around your struggles, instead of holding on to the truth of who you are and what you're capable of overcoming. Your struggles are personal. They are a part of your story, yes, but they don't define you. They are not a measurement of your worth or your ability. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you are less than. But too often, when you share your hardships with everyone, people start to box you in based on that one chapter of your life. They label you by your lowest moments. And that's not fair, but it's the reality of how people work. They see a fraction of your story and act like they've read the whole book. That's why it's so important to guard your struggles. You don't have to make your battles anyone else's business unless they've earned the right to carry that weight with you. It's not about shutting people out, it's about being selective. It's about knowing who truly has your back, who will stand with you in the tough times without judgment, and who will help you carry the load when it feels like too much to bear alone. Those are the people you want in your corner. Those are the ones who will offer you real support, not just empty sympathy or unsolicited advice. When you keep your struggles private, you maintain control over your narrative. You don't give people the power to turn your hardships into a storyline for their entertainment. You protect yourself from the scrutiny that comes when others feel entitled to your pain. And more importantly, you give yourself the space to heal, to process, and to grow without the noise of outside opinions clouding your judgment. You get to sit with your struggle, understand it, and face it on your own terms. Now, don't misunderstand me. There's no shame in reaching out for help when you need it. In fact, it takes courage to admit that you can't carry everything on your own. But there's a difference between seeking support and broadcasting your struggles for the world to see. Not every listener is there to help. Some are just there for the drama. And when you expose your vulnerability to people who don't truly care about your well-being, you end up feeling even more isolated because their responses aren't what you need. Instead of offering support, they offer pity, or worse, judgment. And that's not what you need when you're going through a tough time. So be selective. Choose wisely who you share your struggles with. Lean on the people who've proven that they're in your corner for the long haul. The ones who will stand with you through the highs and the lows. Those are the people who will offer you real, meaningful support. The kind that lifts you up instead of tearing you down. They won't judge you for your struggles, and they won't use them as ammunition against you. They'll help you carry the weight. And they'll remind you of your strength when you've forgotten it yourself. At the end of the day, your struggles are your own. They are a part of your journey, but they are not the whole story. And they certainly don't need to be shared with the world at large. Instead of giving everyone a front row seat to your battles, take a step back. Protect your peace. Protect your mental and emotional space. Share your burdens with those who have earned the right to walk alongside you, but don't feel obligated to let everyone in. Because not everyone deserves that access to your life. Remember, privacy is power. There's strength in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. There's wisdom in understanding that not every part of your life needs to be open for public consumption. Your struggles are part of what makes you who you are, but they are not the definition of who you are. And as you navigate those tough times, keep your circle tight and protect the parts of your journey that are still unfolding. The world doesn't need to know your every battle. They don't need to see every tear or hear every hardship. What the world will see in time is your resilience. They'll see the strength you've built in the quiet moments, the strength you've cultivated when no one was watching. And when you emerge on the other side of your struggle, stronger and more determined than ever, that's when you can share the lessons you've learned, not the pain you endured. Because the story of your survival is yours to tell. And it's a story that doesn't need to be written in the middle of your battle, but after you've come through the other side. 3, your finances. Money is a tricky subject. People love to talk about it, flash it around, or ask questions about what you've got going on financially. But here's the truth: your financial situation is nobody's business but yours. Whether you're living paycheck to paycheck or you've got more than enough, the details of your finances are personal, and they should stay that way. The moment you start sharing too much, you open yourself up to a world of unnecessary complications. We all know people who like to show off their wealth. They want everybody to see what they've got, the fancy car, the big house, the expensive vacations. They want the world to know they're doing well. But let me tell you, there's a danger in that. The more you put your financial success on display, the more attention you attract. And not all of that attention is going to be good. Some people will see your success and congratulate you, but others, they'll see an opportunity. Not everyone around you has good intentions, and if you're not careful, they'll find a way to get a piece of what you've worked so hard to earn. There's always somebody looking to take advantage. The more you broadcast what you have, the more you become a target for people who are envious or opportunistic. They might come to you asking for favors, pretending to be your friend, but deep down, they're only interested in what they can get from you. And before you know it, if you're not careful, you'll be drained emotionally, mentally, and financially. It's a slow process, one that can sneak up on you if you're not paying attention. And let's flip the script for a second. What happens when you're struggling financially and you start telling people about it? That's just as dangerous, if not more. When you let the wrong people in on your financial difficulties, you open the door to all kinds of judgment, pity, and manipulation. People love to talk and they're quick to gossip. Once you share your financial struggles, you give them ammunition to spread rumors or cast judgment on you. Suddenly, your private struggles become public knowledge, and you're not in control of the narrative anymore. Some folks will even pretend to offer help, but their help comes with strings attached. They might lend you money, but now they've got something to hold over your head. They'll act like they're doing you a favor, but they'll expect something in return. It might not be immediate, but trust me, they'll collect eventually. And once they've got that hold on you, it's hard to break free. The thing about money is that it's a tool. It's a resource that you use to live your life, but it's not something that needs to define you or your relationships with others. When you start sharing too much about your finances, you risk letting it take over how people see you, how they treat you, and even how they approach you. Whether you have a lot or a little, your financial situation shouldn't be the reason people are drawn to you or pushed away from you. That's why it's so important to keep your finances private. It's not about being secretive, it's about being smart. You don't need to broadcast every financial win or struggle to the world. You don't need to explain yourself or let anyone in on your financial details unless it's absolutely necessary. The only people who should know the ins and outs of your finances are those you trust completely, people who have your best interests at heart, people who will give you sound advice and won't use your financial situation to manipulate or take advantage of you. And when it comes to money, trust is key. Whether you're discussing investments, debts, savings, or spending, the people you talk to about your finances should be people you know will keep that information confidential. These are the people who won't gossip behind your back, who won't judge you based on your bank account, and who won't try to get something out of you just because you're in a certain financial situation. In today's world, we're surrounded by social media and constant pressure to share everything about our lives. But when it comes to your finances, you need to resist that urge. You don't owe anyone explanation for how you're living, what you're spending, or how much you're earning. And the less you share, the more control you keep over your life. Because here's the thing, once you let someone into that part of your life, you're giving them power to judge, power to manipulate, and power to spread your business where it doesn't belong. So whether you're financially comfortable or you're working through some struggles, keep that information close. Guard it. Not everyone needs to know what's going on with your money. The only time you should be discussing your finances is when it's with someone you trust completely, someone who's in your corner for the right reasons. Don't fall into the trap of oversharing or trying to keep up with others just because it seems like everyone else is putting their financial life on display. In the end, your finances are just one part of your life. They don't define you. They don't determine your worth. And they certainly don't need to be the reason people are drawn to or distanced from you. Keep that part of your life private. And you'll find that you have more peace, more control, and fewer people trying to take advantage of you. Your money, your business, keep it that way. 4, your good deeds. There's something truly special about doing good in the world, helping others, giving back, and making a difference in someone else's life. When you reach out to lift someone up, when you offer kindness without expecting anything in return, you're making the world just a little bit better. But here's where people often get it wrong. Your good deeds don't need to be shouted from the rooftops. In fact, the most meaningful acts of kindness are often done in silence, without fanfare, without a spotlight. The moment you start talking about every good thing you do, the purpose behind it shifts. Instead of focusing on the people you're helping or the difference you're making, it becomes about you. It becomes about how others perceive you, about boosting your image or feeding your ego. And that's not why we do good, is it? The intention behind kindness should never be about getting recognition or praise. When your actions become performative, when they're done for applause or approval, they lose a bit of their purity. True generosity comes from a place of love, empathy, and understanding. It's about connecting with another human being and recognizing their worth, even when the world might have overlooked them. When you give to others, whether it's your time, money, or a simple act of kindness, the power of that act lies in the intention behind it, not in who knows about it. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of wanting others to see the good you're doing, but the most profound good often happens quietly in the moments that no one else witnesses. There's an old saying, the left hand shouldn't know what the right hand is doing. This means that when you give, when you perform an act of kindness, it should be so natural, so effortless, that it doesn't even occur to you to tell anyone about it. You're not doing it for validation, you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. When you keep your good deeds private, they remain pure, untouched by the need for approval or recognition. They stay true to their original purpose. That's not to say that you should never talk about the good you're doing. There are certainly times when sharing your story can inspire others to act, when it can bring attention to important causes or spark meaningful conversations. Sometimes, by sharing your journey, you can encourage others to get involved, to give back, to care about something larger than themselves. But those moments are rare, and they should come from a place of sincerity, not self-promotion. Most of the time, the real power of your good deeds comes from the fact that they were done quietly without expecting anything in return. There's something beautiful about helping someone and knowing that no one else needs to know about it. It's like planting a seed. You don't need to see it grow to know that you've done something worthwhile. The act itself is enough. You don't need applause to validate your kindness. The impact is felt whether or not anyone else is aware of it. When you start broadcasting your charitable work, it can cheapen the act. It turns something that should be selfless into something performative. Instead of being about the people you're helping, it becomes about the attention you're seeking. And while it might feel good to receive recognition for doing good, that's not the reason we do it. If your motivation for helping others is rooted in how it makes you look, then you're missing the point entirely. The most genuine acts of kindness are done with no expectation of repayment, no hope for praise. They come from the heart, from a desire to make the world a better place. And often, those acts go unnoticed by the rest of the world. But that doesn't make them any less impactful. In fact, sometimes the most significant changes happen when no one is watching. You never know how far a single act of kindness can ripple through someone's life. Keeping your good deeds private doesn't mean you're hiding them. It means you understand that the value of what you do doesn't depend on who knows about it. The world doesn't need to applaud you for you to know you've done something meaningful. The person you helped, the difference you made, that's the true reward. The gratitude you see in someone's eyes, the relief in their voice, that's the recognition that matters. So the next time you find yourself doing something good, pause for a moment before you share it. Ask yourself why you feel the need to tell others. If it's to inspire or to spread awareness, then share with purpose. But if it's for validation, consider holding on to that moment for yourself. Let it be a quiet victory, a reminder that you're making a difference in the world without needing anyone else's approval. Because in the end, the impact of what you do doesn't depend on who knows about it. It depends on the intention behind it and the lives you touch along the way. 5, your next move. In life, your next move is everything. It's the step that could define your future, open doors you never thought possible, and push you closer to your dreams. But here's the critical part: never share your next move before you make it. Life is like a chess game, and every move is part of your strategy. If you start broadcasting your intentions too early, you give others the chance to interfere. And trust me, not everyone around you is rooting for your success. You might think that sharing your plans with friends, family, or colleagues will rally support, but that's not always the case. Some people, maybe even those close to you, don't want to see you rise. Your success can feel like a threat to them, a reminder of what they aren't doing, what they haven't accomplished. And that's when jealousy starts to creep in. They might not outright sabotage you, but they can plant seeds of doubt, give you advice that leads you off course, or talk you out of taking risks that are necessary for your growth. When you reveal your next move, you expose yourself to criticism. Everybody suddenly has an opinion about what you should or shouldn't do. And while some feedback might be well-intentioned, other comments can be laced with negativity, discouragement, or even envy. People might tell you your plan won't work, that it's too risky, or that you should play it safe. They'll project their fears onto you. And if you're not careful, you'll start second-guessing yourself. That hesitation, that doubt, can be enough to derail your entire plan. By keeping your next move private, you maintain control. You decide when and how things unfold. You don't have to answer to anyone or explain yourself before you're ready. You move in silence. And when the time is right, you let the results speak for themselves. It's a powerful way to stay ahead of the game, because while others are busy speculating or trying to figure out what you're up to, you're already executing, already advancing. Think about it this way: if you were playing a game of chess, would you tell your opponent your strategy before making a move? Of course not. You'd keep your plan close to your chest, making moves based on what's best for you, not worrying about how others will react. Life is no different. You don't owe anyone a preview of your next step. Sometimes the best way to protect your dreams is by keeping them private until they've fully developed. There's also a level of freedom that comes with keeping your moves to yourself. When you're not weighed down by other people's opinions, you're able to act confidently, trusting your own instincts and judgment. You're not seeking validation or approval, because you know that the only person who truly understands the importance of your next move is you. That freedom allows you to take risks that others might not understand, to step out of your comfort zone without needing to explain why. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should live in isolation or shut people out completely. Life is about connection, and there's value in sharing with the people who matter. But it's about discernment. It's about knowing who to trust, when to share, and when to keep things close. Not everyone deserves to know your plans, and not every idea needs to be aired before it's had time to mature. Some things need to be nurtured in private before they're revealed to the world. When you keep your moves private, you're also giving yourself the space to pivot if necessary. Plans change, life throws curveballs, and sometimes the path you thought you were on shifts. If you've shared your every intention with others, there's a pressure to stick to what you said, even if it's no longer the right course. But when you've kept things to yourself, you have the flexibility to adjust, to change directions without having to explain or justify it to anyone. So as you navigate through life, remember that your next move is yours and yours alone. You don't owe anyone an explanation or a roadmap of where you're headed. Focus on making the best decisions for yourself, and trust that the results will speak louder than any words ever could. Move in silence. And when it's time, let your actions show the world exactly what you're capable of. That's the real power of being able to navigate your journey without letting others influence or derail your path. At the end of the day, it's not about keeping secrets or shutting people out. It's about protecting what's most precious to you, your dreams, your goals, your vision for the future. There's a time for sharing, but there's also a time for holding things close, for letting your next move be something only you know. That's where your strength lies, in your ability to move strategically, to stay focused, and to keep pushing forward without allowing others to interfere. When you do reveal your move, let it be after it's already in motion, when you've built something solid that no one can tear down. Then, and only then, will the world see what you've been working on. And by that point, it will be too late for anyone to stop you. So as you move forward in life, remember these 5 things: your plans, your struggles, your finances, your good deeds, and your next move. Guard them. Not because you're hiding them, but because they're yours, and they deserve to be nurtured, respected, and kept safe. And when the time is right, when you built what you set out to build, when you've overcome what you've been facing, when you've succeeded in the ways you've dreamed of, let your actions speak for you. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you share. It's about what you do. Thank you.